Hello everyone and welcome back to another theory video. Today we're talking about the new FNAF game, Into the Pit. Into the Pit was released on August 8th as part of FNAF's 10-year anniversary celebrations, and it was definitely worth the wait. I mean, just look at how much lore there is, from the official Springlock audio to Eleanor. This game has had me stumped for a while, which is part of the reason why this video took so long, the other being I was on holiday during FNAF week. But I think I have all the kinks figured out now. At least most of them anyway. So, let's start off by talking about the sketchbook. The sketchbook is an item given to us by a girl called Gabrielle. She says it belonged to her grandpa from his old job, which just so happened to be at Freddy Fazbear's. The sketchbook doesn't contain that much, but from a lore standpoint, there's definitely a few things you can pick up on, the main one being the identity of the author. She said it's her uncle's, but who exactly is her uncle? The notes in the sketchbook appear to be from someone who works with the animatronics a lot, as you can tell by notes such as "Do not attempt to play Bonnie's guitar," which is a direct reference to the FNAF movie. I initially thought it was Henry writing these notes, but then I changed my mind because his only child is dead, meaning no grandchildren. It definitely can't be William, because all of his kids ended up either bitten or scooped, not to mention his own fate. So who else could be writing this? Well, I have two possible answers. Think back to the games. Who else do we know that is a Fazbear technician? If you answered Cassie's dad, you'd be correct. I know that it would mess up the timeline a bit considering ages, but I mean just look at Afton. He's an 80-year-old bunny rabbit walking around pizza buildings killing people. And if game theory was right about Cassie's dad being the bunny bro during the bite of 83, he wouldn't be that old compared to a 60-year-old man getting springlocked. If you ask me, it works. The only thing that doesn't work is that whilst Cassie's dad in this situation isn't as old per se, he's unbelievably young, because he needs 2 generations after him for this to work. But hey, we're assuming that game theory is right. Just because I'm not MatPat doesn't mean I can't be right instead for once. As for my other possible author, a random technician that has no relevance to the plot at all. And that would be a perfectly acceptable answer if we were dealing with any other franchise. But we're not. Remember folks, this is FNAF, and with FNAF, every little detail counts. So for now, I'm going to assume that we're talking with Cassie's dad's granddaughter in this scene. The next thing I want to cover is less of a theory and more of a substantial discovery. That's right, we finally have our first official look at William and Henry together in the games. The final photo used in the game is nowhere near similar to the one we found in the game files, but it's still definitely usable and worth mentioning. In the files, the image is labelled as Henry William photo, and if you look at the actual image itself, you can see one of them is wearing purple and the other is wearing a yellow-orange colour. A nice little detail in the photo is the scratches. As you can see, Henry is completely scratched out, whilst William is only missing his face. Those scratches were clearly done by a person. But who? Who would hate Henry more than William to scratch him out more? Well, I give you the only plausible answer. William himself. He scratched out Henry completely because Henry is the bane of his existence, but he scratched out his own face because he doesn't want to be seen with him, nor to be seen as just a human person. He's always seen himself as something else. He'd only want himself to be viewed as a yellow rabbit. Speaking about official looks, how about official sounds? Because we got our first official audio of Afton's Springlock incident video. Now this is a big deal because the audio that everyone's been using for years, you know, this one. Yeah, that's not going to be around anymore. Heck, even I've used it in some Nightmare Enterprises games, namely Photo Booth. Oh, you don't know what Nightmare Enterprises is? I'm not surprised. More on that later in the video then. The point is, this is a big deal. It still consists of the same stuff as the original audio, the laughter, the springlocks, the screaming, but it's ever so slightly different. Another thing I want to cover is the canon ending in the game. When you drop the Afton and Henry photo whilst trying to escape back to the future with Oswald's dad, pitbonnie picks it up instead of chasing after you. Once it sees what's on the photo, it malfunctions in a way and gets discombobulated. Well, there's only one explanation to me, and that is the proof that pitbonnie is the amalgamation of agony of William Afton. Now most of you probably guessed this already, but this provides further evidence of the links between a person and their agony. In other words, we get a better interpretation of agony. It's not just the memories of the person, but their feelings and experiences too. Hence, Pitbonnie going crazy when he sees Henry. Now, let's get on to the juicy talk. Minigames. That's where all the proper lore is hiding in this game. First off, I want to talk about Balloon World, or whatever you call it. You know, the one with the balloon boy and ways to collect the balloons. Anyway, there's a couple of things in this minigame that are worth noting. Number 1, we had the return of 8-bit Afton. Also known as minigame Purple Guy, we first saw him featured in the FNAF 2 minigames, such as the Foxy ones. What is he doing in an arcade machine? I have zero clue. I mean, he does give Balloon Boy a party hat, so I'm sure that's a reference to a minigame, like the Happiest Day in FNAF 3, or a direct reference to the MCI. But overall, his presence in the arcade machine just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. If any of you have an interpretation of this, please leave it in the comments so you can educate me instead of the other way around for once. Another thing about this minigame is that people are claiming to see Afton's face hidden away in the background. I've got the picture on screen now. Please do say in the comments if you're able to see anything, because I am definitely not able to catch it. Apparently there's an eye here which I can kind of see, but I don't get the rest of it. On to the next minigame, Fetch. This one was also rather confusing to me, just because of the fact that it's so obscure. In fact, I was so stumped that I had to go and reread the Fetch story altogether to see if I could make any links. The minigame is an abandoned Freddy's location, which we already knew from the books. But which location? Well, if you take a look at what is presumably the office in the building, we can instantly rule out basically every single location that we've seen in every FNAF game, from FNAF 1 to whatever number we're on now. So, what other location could it be? I think that purely because it's something we haven't seen before, it's either the Fredbear's location, or yet again, just another random place without any significance. Why do I say the Fredbear's location though? Because we see Golden Freddy there, and the one thing we know Golden Freddy does best is linger at meaningful places. Whether it's controversially outside Michael's window in FNAF 6, and don't worry, there is a video for Midnight Motorist coming soon too, or FNAF 1 calling out the iconic phrase, "It's me." Golden Freddy is always somewhere with a connection, and in this case, it's the location that started it all. No, not that location, this location. As for the entire purpose of this minigame, it's most likely Megacat teasing a Fetch game that will release soon. Either way, it's a pretty cool minigame to see in 8-bit format. Okay, we're almost done with the video, I promise. This is turning out to be quite the lengthy one, if I do say so myself. Next, I'd like to talk about the Count the Ways minigame. In this one, you play as Millie, the protagonist from the book who decided to do the very stupid thing of crawling into Funtime Freddy's stomach. In the books, Funtime Freddy traps her inside of him whilst he quite literally counts the ways that he could end her life, hence the book's title. Obviously, that's what this minigame is referencing, different ways for her to eventually die. Boiling alive, electrocution, etc. You get the gist of it. And at the end of the minigame, you're greeted with none other than Bon Bon, Funtime Freddy's companion. Once you collect him, Millie starts crying as the game fades out, returning you back to the main game. Now obviously if you've been around long enough, you notice that this minigame style is quite similar to the Foxy minigames back in FNAF 2, which I found rather interesting, but I do not think there is any links there. In fact, most of these minigames are very possibly just Megacat teasing future games, but they're still worth going over in the video anyway. Next, this is probably one of the more significant ones, the presence of Eleanor in the games. Obviously, this minigame is referencing the second story in the Into the Pit book, To Be Beautiful, meaning yet again it's another teaser, or just another fun thing for the players to find. Although, just due to the fact that Eleanor is extremely lore significant, I think that in whatever other Megacat games we're going to get, we'll probably see way more of Eleanor, such as the 1:35 AM story in which she takes the form of the Ella doll. Again, these minigames aren't that lore significant as of yet, but I feel that when we get Fetch or something, we'll further explore the stories in the Fazbear Fright series. And the final part of this video is way less of a theory, and not even a minigame, but instead, it's a reference that I really wanted to point out because I barely saw anyone else notice it during playthroughs. In fact, it's multiple references. If you go to the security room, you'll see not one, not two, but 3 references to other parts of the FNAF franchise. The first is the camera number 1280. If you've been around for the books, you'd instantly know that it's a reference to the Fazbear Fright story, The Man in Room 1280, which focuses on a priest trying to take William Afton to a Fazbear facility before he explodes for some reason. The second reference is the mini arenas, which is a direct call out to another Fazbear Fright story, Room for One More, in which the protagonist Stanley gets hired to take the security shift at an underground facility. Unfortunately for him though, said underground facility is infected with a bunch of mini arenas and could very possibly be a part of the sister location, but that's very controversial. And said mini arenas decide to crawl inside Stanley whilst he sleeps on the job. Fun story to say the least. The third reference is on the top left monitor, which has Balloon Boy on it. What it's a reference to, other than the character, I can't really say, because my memory of the Fazbear Fright books aren't that great, but I'm sure he's somewhere on a security monitor in one of the novels. And that's it. Everything you need to know about FNAF Into the Pit, all compressed into one 11-minute video. However, before I end the video, I want to talk about 2 things completely unrelated to FNAF in general. Number 1, I am shamelessly going to promote Nightmare Enterprises now, because I said I would and I am a human of my word. So, what is Nightmare Enterprises? Put simply, Nightmare Enterprises is a group of people consisting of myself and a few friends, with the aim of creating our own games, only one of which I actually enjoy playing so far. All of the development is done by me, so if you have any complaints about the games, which you should because even I do, then I'm the guy you should speak to. However, like I've said, I do enjoy playing one of them. It's called Rome. He plays an unnamed character finding his way throughout a maze, whilst being hunted by the entity known as Sir Purples. There is lore to all of these games too, although sometimes I wonder if I should remake the first few games to better suit it. So that's Nightmare Enterprises. I'll leave a link to Rome's game drop page in the description. As for the second thing I wanted to talk about, after being on hiatus of sorts since May, I am officially back on Discord. When I returned, the first thing that I noticed was that my server was extremely dry. Barely anyone was speaking in it, which is why I am humbly requesting you all to join my Discord server to make it less dry and more talkative. So, if you'd like to join and help me make my Discord server more active, then follow the link in the description of this video. In fact, the Discord server link is in the description of most of my videos, along with a link to my Twitter profile and subreddit, so feel free to join those too whilst you're down there. Again, thank you everyone for watching, make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you in the next one.